But I'm so excited to be here with everyone today. I just got back. I was in Madison for the game over the weekend and had a great time there and had some friends there in another event. But it's always good to come back to the great state of Ohio. Is that true, Patty? She don't have a voice. Me neither. It's not. No. Awesome. That might be important, huh?
Yeah, forward.
Oh, perfect. And so I was in nonprofit for 14 years of my life, graduated high school in 2000, and got into nonprofit, was a youth pastor for 10 years. I thought they were stressing me out, so I became a senior pastor for 4 years, and adults gave me a heart attack at the age of 31. That's a true story. And so I got out of ministry because one of my former students had this bright idea that he had something less stressful. And he had broke his phone back in 2012, 2013, iPhone 4, 4S's, if you want to go back that far, iPod 4th gens. And we thought, he broke his phone, he fixed it. He thought it was a bright idea to start repairing phones. It was less stress than the ministry. And so I got into the wireless industry in the tech space, and it was supposed to just be a mom and pop shop little thing we were doing on eBay. Went really well. We started making a lot of money for dumb kids that didn't know what they were doing. And our eBay was going up to about $60,000 a month in sales. And so we were like, we still selfish, so we bought $8,000 from Grandma and Grandpa and got us our first retail store. And after we did that, it kind of went crazy again. And we were like, man, we got to start another store. And so we went up to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Be kind to these guys. It's not their fault where they were born. And we were selling a lot of our devices to these guys, and we realized that they had stores too, and they were debt-free, and I don't like debt. And so we went up there and was very honest. We're coming to steal your ideas so we can do what you're doing in Indiana. We spent about 6 hours, and the next thing you know, these random people that we just met said, hey, let's take a trip and let's do this together. So we went over to Toledo, the city that we try to give to Michigan. I said Michigan, by the way. I don't say that word either. Just Michigan. So if you ever hear me say that, it's either Michigan, Wilbur Queens, or Miss Again. Or Cheaters, whichever works. Y'all see that? And so we took a trip all the way from Toledo down to Huber Heights, Dayton, Ohio area, back over to Indianapolis where I was born, and up north to Notre Dame. And I got names for everybody. And we started playing flags, and next thing you know, 3 years into it, we got 16 stores, planted another 2, and then we sold in 2018. It was less stressful, they say. And got out of the retail very quickly, within 4 years. It was fun. It was great. And now I get to do what I really love, and that's love on people. And so I have a company, Culture of Good, that's partnered with a good friend of mine, Ryan McCarty. And we do leadership development. And I travel around. I Googled how to write a book, and that happened in June. I was very excited about that. Where I come from, I know I can be able to write a book, but I wrote a book. And I have some to give away as long as you talk to me today. All right, Miss Kelly, talk to me. The book is called Champion Your Purpose, and it's really about a self-help book. It's just about leadership, self-leadership, and I'm very passionate about that. I want to do something that's very important to me because this is a dream come true to be able to speak in Columbus, Ohio. And most of my family and friends think I just travel and spend money just to travel and shoes. I do have a real bad shoe problem. This is the first time I wore these pair of shoes. My kid picked them out. I let him pick out my shoes and my socks, and he did pretty good. And so I had to figure out what shirt I was wearing to match that. And so I have a few hundred pairs of shoes. I have a shoe room. Don't judge me. You don't know my situation. That's how I handle stress. I might have bought 8 pairs while I was in Madison. I haven't been home since, waiting for my wife to get that note. And I'm excited, but if you don't mind, I'm just going to turn my camera on, and I'm going to say a few words, and I'm hoping I'm not lying, that you're excited to be here. Everybody excited? And so I'm going to tell everybody, thank you, bathroom people. Who's there late? And I'm just going to say a couple of words, and I'm going to say how excited it is to be here in Buckeye City with all my friends. And when I turn the camera around, I want y'all to stand and yell and make a lot of noise so everybody everywhere else in this building is jealous and trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Can y'all help me out with that? Yeah. David, you got your table, buddy? All right, here we go. Let's see if I do this. I did this one time and I had the camera the wrong way. Lord, why are you laughing at me? You done that before? We've been there. All right, here we go. Hey everybody, this is George here, and I'm so excited because I am in the great state of Ohio, somewhere I dream to be. We're talking about championing your purpose to a few of my favorite people in Columbus, Ohio. They're really excited about being here today. Look at this. They're really excited. Look at this. All my friends, all the way in the back, all the way over here. Also, man, my friends are going to think I got a lot of cool family right now, bro. That's awesome. Now let's get serious. A couple of questions I'm going to ask, so I want y'all to think about these because I ask these questions a lot, and then when it comes to answering the questions, everybody gets silent, and then they want to talk to me afterwards about the answers. So I'm going to prepare y'all. I want you to think about two words that you've heard a lot, culture and leaders. What does it mean to you within one word? Now, when it comes time, I'm just going to let you know I'm asking you. You look like you have an answer for one of those. And so what is leadership? What does it mean to you? It could be a sentence. It could be a word that leadership is. I'll give you a hint to make you think. John Maxwell, a good friend of mine, I met in 2003 when I was just a little prawny little kid. I was about 20 years old. And with his deep, short voice, George, leadership is influence. That was a horrible voice. He'll be mad at me for that. But leadership, he says, is influence. So that's a little cheat sheet for you, Carmen. All right, got it? So what is leadership to you? What is culture to you? Everybody got that? Awesome, awesome, awesome. She said, damn. I like to show off my family. This is my birth family, so I like to get real personal. Is that cool? Can we get to know each other? And so I like to get real personal, so I'm very vulnerable. I was adopted, but this is my birth family. And you're probably wondering, what is that good-looking guy doing with all these goofy-looking people? That's my birth mom. I think she was still going to her heydays where she thought she was going to be like a rapper, but she didn't have no teeth, and so nobody understood what she was saying. And it's okay. It's my mom. She smacked me for so many years. I can talk about her now. She's paid for. She's good. I paid her bill this month. She's good. As long as you're talking about me, baby, you can say what you want. That's my mom. I love her dearly. Of course, that's me. And then my brother Billy, my beautiful sister Arlette, and then Clarence. Clarence, I left for 3 years. This is my first time seeing them. This is back in 2014. I had been living south because, again, I don't like the snow too much. And I had moved, and when I left, he was like this tall. And I came back, and I was looking up to him, and that was so disrespectful. So I put him on the other end of the picture because I didn't want to feel short. But this is my beautiful, beautiful family. Give them a round of applause for loving me. Where I come from in the inner city of Indianapolis, we grew up without a father. I never met my father. In fact, my wife just found him on Facebook because she's an FBI agent, just always trying to find drama. Like, I ain't looking for him. Why are you looking for him? And never met my father. In the neighborhood that I grew up at the time, in the 80s and early 90s, 1 out of 100 homes had a father. Not a man in the house, but the actual father. And so I grew up in a rough situation. I don't like to use the 4 letters that they said. I like to say I was a part of a bad team that was influenced to do not so good things. We were working on our testimony a little bit and really just trying to search for myself in the midst of the chaos that I was living in. And when I was 8 years old, my father, who I call my father, everybody know who Butterbean is? Kind of a little boxer. Elmer Fudd. That's what my father looked like. Just a short, white, bald, fat guy. And he just showed up in my house. And yeah, this is what we talk about all the time. It's cool. I promise. And he showed up at our house and knocked on our door. Backstory of this guy, he was an IRS guy. So you come to inner city, taxman in the suit, you ain't getting the door answered. And he kept on showing up. What we didn't know is that he was part of a church ministry in Indiana, and they were starting an inner city ministry where they were just going to come in and just love on inner city kids and youth. And this guy showed up every week. And it was weird because not a lot of men in my life was consistent, and he was. And when I was 10 years old, he had launched this inner city ministry. About 500 kids were coming to this church. And when I was 10, this is him right here. Don't he look like Elmer Fudd a little bit? He got a hat on. Proof that I am a Buckeye. And he was there for my basketball games. He was never Pastor Tim to me. To this day, I've never called him Pastor Tim. He was always Tim, and we gave him a nickname, T-Bone, because after I beat him in basketball, I wanted a steak. And he was a man of his word. He took me to a nice steakhouse. Like, this is how ignorant I am. Again, I'm going to get personal, share how silly I was. After I got done with my food, I started cleaning the table up. I didn't know where to take my plate. I didn't realize they take the plates for you. They was like, George, where are you going? And he stayed. And what I was and who I was at the moment was something different, and he saw potential in me and helped me discover my why. This guy showed up at every basketball game, every football game, and I thought that was just kind of my end out of this inner city mess, that I was just going to have to play sports to get out of the situations that I was in. And he continued to show up. Everybody say show up. In my life, through the good times and the hard times. In fact, he loved me when I was an alcoholic at the age of 14 and was there for me. He mentored me and coached me. I showed up at his church playing drums, a little tipsy, and he loved me through it. It was tough love, don't get me wrong, but he never gave up on me. And he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. And every time he will leave, he said two words that stuck with me. He says it to this day. Every day that we talk, every message that he sends me, he reminds me of two words. That's I'm here. I'm here. No matter what's going on, no matter where you are in your life, I want you to know, George, I'm here. I don't care what's going on. I don't care how bad it is. If you need something, I'm here. And so he helped me discover more than life. And as I got older, I decided my sophomore year to do something that my coaches didn't like, and I stopped playing sports. I quit sports cold turkey. I didn't touch a ball for 3 years because I knew if I put it into my hand, and the competitive juices was going to want to get back into it. But I decided to quit sports and do what he had done for me and show up for other kids. So at 17 years old, I graduated high school when I was supposed to be dead by 14. And went into full-time ministry. I wanted to just mentor young youth that was coming from the same environment that I was. And so I dedicated my first 10 years of my life just impacting youth. I had youth groups over 500-600 students a week and traveled all over to bring this message. Back in the days, we had these people called the power team. I don't know if y'all ever remember the power team, but they used to go into schools and break bricks with their arms and their head and everything, rip telephone books and bats. Well, I got trained to do that, and that's probably why I'm crazy, because I started breaking bricks in my head and going to school assemblies, doing anti-drug violence, and then we would bring them back to our youth church. And we didn't have Xboxes and PlayStation back then, so we just give them away like Etch-a-Sketch and stuff, like real cool stuff. And that was my life. I loved it. But he always said, George, you got to make sure what you do has a why to it. And that just drove me from there on out. And I was so passionate about it because it made sense to me. That we all know what we do. Everybody know what you do at your job? But do we know why we do it? Is there a greater purpose to that says, I get to bring my soul to work? And so what I do now with TCC, Verizon, became a good friend, Scott Moorhead, third-party Verizon. He was giving away thousands of dollars, right? And employee engagement was, and he said, man, we're doing so good in the community, but nobody's tied to it. And so me and Ryan, we went in there, and we did what was called nonprofit work. Take a lot of money that we didn't have and use it for good. And what we learned is that we wanted to make sure that we were leading people. Everybody say leadership. Leadership. Because I believe leadership begins with self-leadership. And hear me out here. This is important because so often we get in leadership, and leadership is not a title. Leadership doesn't necessarily come with your role or your title. Leadership is something that you accept. It's something that you become. It's not something that puts it on a title. I had so many titles in my life. I hate titles. My mom named me George. You call me George, right? I don't care about the titles, but what I learned is that leadership begins with self-leadership. Before I can lead you, I must first lead me. Think about this. We wake up every day to lead our teams, to lead our families, to lead extracurricular activities if you're a sports mom or sports dad in the house. We do all these leadership things, but how often are we leading ourselves? When I think about leadership, Carmen, you got a definition for me, or you want me to ask somebody else first? Okay. So when you think about leadership, just real quickly, just a couple people, if you don't mind, when you think about leadership, what's a word that comes up? And you can just raise your hand if you got one. Yes, ma'am. Shout it out to me. Respect and responsibility. Love it. Who else? Yes, ma'am. Accountability. Where the fellas at? Yes, ma'am. Teacher. Love these. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Still one of your words.
Okay. Purpose. Leadership is purpose. I love that. Was there somebody else over here? Yes, ma'am. Cultivation. So when you think about leadership, a lot of these things, when I think about leadership, a lot of things that we define is really about how we've been impacted. So for me, when I think about leadership, and it's ultimately because of who my dad was in my life, when I think about leadership, I think about my dad. And there's three things that he's shown me. To me, I believe leadership is love, trust, and grace. Those three things, love, trust, and grace. You got to love yourself before you can love others. We got to be able to trust ourselves before we can trust others. And we got to be able to show ourselves grace because then oftentimes we are worst enemies. We are our worst critiques. How did you do today? I don't know. How you feeling? Girl, you look good. Yeah. Hey, do I? But we got to show ourselves grace. Think about this. When was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, Lord, the Lord said, yeah, I love you. Think about it. When was the last time you showed yourself grace? When was the last time you said, you know what, George, you're good enough. I trust you. Take this risk. Because leading others is good. What good is it if we're not leading ourselves? One of the most important things that I believe is that when we think about self-leadership, you'll find this in the book, and I'm going to give it away. I'm going to give a couple. Can you help me out, ma'am? Me? Yes. You're so beautiful. Looking, Leather, you're looking all over here, looking so beautiful. Can you hand these out for me? Yeah, show yourself some grace. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to keep this one if you can. Yeah, just go give one to my friend in the red right here. Who's the first one to ask me over here? Over here. Here we go. I got you, sweetheart. In this book, you'll find that self-leadership is defined as these 4 questions. And I want you to think about these 4 questions with me right now. Can you do that for me, 10, Stephanie? Self-leadership is the influence, right? Self-leadership is the influence you have that serves your desired outcome. So think about the things that you want, the outcomes. This is self-ish moments for you, all right? This ain't about your mama, your daddy, your brothers, your sister, your husband, your wife. Self-leadership, leading yourself, leading the life you love. It is the desired outcomes of who you are. So think about this. Who are you? This is important. Because oftentimes, like me, when I was growing up a little knucklehead, I was trying to be everybody that I saw because I didn't know who I was. And we'll do this at work. That's where the groups form at work, like our favorites. We connect to something that's inside of us, naturally. And we're all meant to connect. Nobody's meant to be alone. But who are you? If there was a word that could define who you are, strong, beautiful. All women. Right? Who are you? What's your identity? This is self-leadership. These 4 things you can also take back to your work, to your team, and say, hey, as a team, as a company, as an organization, for the city of Columbus, HR, who are we? Not what they say, what is our identity? So number 1, who are you? Number 2, what do you want? This is where it really gets selfish. This year, my theme, because my mentor and then my coach both said the same thing, so I figured I might want to listen to at least one of them. I said, George, you're always serving everybody else, and you seem so tired and burnt out and dry. You need to be selfish this year. Say less. I bought 150 pairs of shoes so far this year. Say less. And a Tesla. Yeah, so I had to work extra. I hate that. So what do you want? What is it for you? So I made a theme. 2023 is for me. Before I do for others, I'm going to do for me first. Before I serve somebody else, I'm going to serve myself. Because you cannot give what you do not have. And a lot of times, especially in the HR space, and I love all your beautiful faces, I think HR people are the greatest people on earth, but it's also the most difficult job. Give yourself a round of applause, yes? I love you so much that I don't want to take your job. You can have it. I'm just here. I got a shoulder that you can lean on, cry on, laugh on. I'm here for you. I don't know how you do it, but whatever's in you that makes you do what you do, there's nobody like y'all in the workforce. And I say that truly. My purpose is to love on HR people. That's what I love to do because I know how hard it is to deal with people that act like I used to act. But what is it that you want? What is it that you want personally? What is it that you want within your organization? Think about that. The third thing is, where are you going? There's no sense in knowing who you are and not have a sense of direction. So where are you going? What's your direction? Where's the purpose? Where are we headed to? As we're closing out 2023, we're about to start 2024. How do we want to finish strong? Where are we going in the next year? And because we always changing who I was in January, and that shoe closet is a lot different than October shoe closet. So who do you want to be when you finally get there? Who are you? What do you want? Where are you going? And when you finally get to that place, who do you want to be when you get there? What does she look like? When you finally get there, what does Dave look like when he finally gets to that place? What does the team and the organization look like when we finally accomplish the goals that we have? What does it look like for us? Because I believe life is the sum of how well we lead ourselves. Life is not about how well we lead our team, how much money we bring to the organization, how much trouble we save our company in. It's not about any of that. Life is about how well did Dave leave Dave? How well did Lauren leave Lauren? What kind of impact does she make on herself? How does she lead herself? How does she love herself? How much grace does she show herself? Because that's important. You know what else is important? And I'm going to go back because I don't want you to cheat, Brittany, because I'm asking you. Yes, ma'am. What else is important? That after you lead yourself and you love yourself, you trust yourself, you show yourself grace, you figure out who you are. She's wondering, what did that say? Culture, yeah. Get your definition. You ready? Okay. Come on, you ready? You want me to go over there first? Yeah, I'll go over there. Yeah. I ain't judging you. I don't know your situation. Yeah. When we show up to work, what is the culture? Think about this. How do you define culture, Miss Brittany? You got it yet? How do you define culture? You want to pick on somebody in this back table that washed their hands? Anybody in the back table, you got a word for culture? Equality. That's what you said, sir? Equality?
Equality.
Love it. Brittany, you got a word? You got a book? You sure about to put that in that purse and hide it. Let me get this before he try to take it because I don't know a word. How would you define culture at work? Let me ask you this. How does work make you feel?
It's supposed to be a safe place, a happy place.
Safe place, happy place. Anybody else got a definition? Yes, ma'am. Community. Family. Acceptance. Equity.
It's what you live by and breathe by.
Ooh, I like that. Somebody over here? Stability? Tradition. If I was to write all these words down, we'll be able to find them in one of these categories. When I think about culture, Mackenzie's like, I hope you don't see my name. When I think about culture, when I define culture, culture to me is how most people feel. Everybody say feel. Believe. And behave. Most of the time. Not all the time, because we are human, but most of the time. Think about this. How your leader makes you feel is really culture. Most organizations try to determine culture by behavior, but you can't control behavior until you understand why they're behaving the way they're behaving. And the way that we behave is because of how our leader and our company makes us feel. I love where I work because my leadership makes me feel wanted, like I belong. All the words that we named are great things, but that's how we feel, or want to feel at least. And how I feel then becomes how I believe and what I believe about this organization. Now, think about some of the things you thought about your leader. Why you believe that they were it's because that's how they made you feel. The feeling is the foundation of culture. The tree is the belief, and the outcome is the behavior. Culture is how I feel, believe, and behave most of the time. Most of the time. So when you try to think about workplace culture, when you're trying to make an impact on your culture, you got to then be able to make an impact on your team and your people individually, knowing their love language, knowing how George communicates. Because George is not always communicating like this. I know y'all think I'm an extrovert, but when this microphone gets off of me, I'm going to a corner. I'm going to grab my hot tea. I'm going to try to be nice and stick around a little bit, but I just go introvert mode. Unless you want to talk about shoes, Ohio State, or the next ocean we want to see together. Then I'll talk a lot. But I behave the way I behave because of how I feel and what I believe. I wasn't a bad kid all my life. I was just misunderstood. Because how I felt was determining the behavior that I was acting out. I felt alone. I felt abandoned. Right? You want to know why your kids acting the way they act? Call Dr. G. We'll talk. You want to know why the team is the way they are? Let's understand what they're feeling and why they feel that way. Everybody know the F3 law? I'll give you this for free. Everybody say F3. Feel, felt, found. Anybody ever heard of that? Feel, felt, found. We can all connect in this room. And I don't know exactly what you've been through, but let's say you have an issue. And I say, you know what? I love you. I care about you. I want to know what's going on in your life. Now, I may not have ever been able to walk in her shoes, and I will never be able to walk in her shoes. She won't be able to put her shoes in my size 13 either. But you know what I can say is, you know what? I don't understand how you feel, but I once felt that way, and this is what I found. Just a common feel, felt, found. I don't understand how you're feeling. Or maybe I do. But we all deal with things differently. But we can have a common purpose to say, you know what? I've had some things happen in my life, and this is what happened. One of the things that I believe is that making the difference is understanding one common purpose. I love this statement right here that we say all the time at Culture Good, is that I find my calling when my greatest passion collides with my greatest contribution. Check the time. We got plenty of time. So at your tables, you get 2 minutes. 2 minutes at your tables. This is an activity. If I had a friend that had a lot of money, you know, Elon Musk and all those other guys, billionaires, unlimited resources. You have unlimited resources, and I want you to come up with a charity, a nonprofit, together that you're all passionate about. So some people, you know, like animals, so they're going to donate and create something. But you have unlimited resources, so this means this can affect the world. You can have facilities all over the world. You got 2 minutes to come up with a good nonprofit that you can create at your table together. You got a spokesperson that's going to tell me what it is and why you're going to do it. All right, 2 minutes. Ready, set, go. What nonprofit? What great contribution can you come up together? Unlimited resources.
Okay.
Sorry. Keep on talking. Go ahead.
Okay, so I said a full service wraparound self-care mental health situation, like facilities all over the place with a mobile app for people to do texting, video chats, childcare while they're getting service as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, just some things coming up in my office.
Awesome. That is awesome. Anybody else want to share? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. You raise your hand, stand up. Come on. Oh, you're Lynetta? That's almost like Arla, rather. That's my sister's name. Go ahead and just squeeze that because you look stressed. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You got to talk louder, though. I know you can get loud.
Can everyone hear me?
There you go.
Okay, great. So our thing we came up with, it's called It Will Be Strictly Amazing Cleanup. It's an environmental nonprofit to remove plastics from the ocean to recycle or properly dispose.
That's awesome. That is awesome. One more. Miss Jenny, take us home.
Hi. We talked about foster care and when the kids age out at 18 to get those wraparound services. It's not a new idea, but it's definitely unfunded.
Awesome. Awesome. So, go ahead. Now y'all want to talk. Come on now. Probably think they're going to get some, but I ran out. So.
We came up with the nonprofit Safe Living, and it would address secure and safe housing for all and food security to create equity for all people.
That's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I found more for you. Here you go. There you go. Here you go. Here you go, Kevin. So think about this. Does somebody else want to go? Oh, everybody want to go. Yeah, you can go. Go ahead and leave. We're going to finish it. Oh, you want to go to the bathroom? No, go ahead, stand up. That's my best friend, y'all. She don't know it yet.
Veterans Are Us. So access to any care, be it mental, physical, emotional wellness, and just easier access to transition over to civilian life.
Awesome. Awesome. So what happened is that 10 years ago, Scott Moorhead was a third generation in tech space. His father, he bought the company from Moorhead Communications from his father and got into a more diverse field. Verizon TCC about 10 years ago, and right now today, 43 states, 1,300 combined locations between Verizon, TCC, and Wireless Zone that he has. And his father was all about community. They always gave. And I mentioned this earlier, and Scott continued that and was given. The more the company made, the more we give. This past September, $1.7 million we gave to nonprofits in the Indianapolis area. And every quarter, our company is giving away to our community, to nonprofits in the community that's making a difference. The difference is that employees were not connected or engaged, and he was trying to figure out why they weren't excited. They were doing good in the community. The company was growing. And the problem was that the employees were not connected to the good that was been happening. And so what happened is that we decided to take our nonprofit thing and do what we do. Ryan McCarty went and bought 25 backpacks. That's what he had the budget for. Scott laughed at him and said, no, we're going to do more. And so gave thousands of backpacks away at every location. It became our big good event. At the end of July, first week of August, every year, Verizon, TCC, all around there, I believe there's 4 or 5 in this area, within the Ohio area, Cincinnati, Ohio, and Columbus, that we have. And we do a community good event. Now, Some managers go crazy, and a lot of partners within the community, other business organizations have partnered with it and become a huge bounce house, backpack, school, stuffing, giveaway, food, drinks, all that stuff. It's become a crazy thing over the last 10 years. And the employees love it, and Scott was saying, man, everybody's excited. They can't wait for July to July. And 2 years later, he said, how do we get this more? And so we went from big good, the enterprise level, to our good. We say, we're going to do our good, every department within the organization. And if you have multiple locations, then it becomes locations. Whatever you're passionate about doing to collectively, just like we did right now, you figured out within 2 minutes what you can do good collectively. And so we have our employees do that. That's our good. And then they get 4 PTO hours a quarter to do what's called my good. A year and a half later, he says, how do we do this? So every quarter, there's something going on. You can use your PTO however you want to. We got people that go down to the VA because one of our guys, he lost a father due to war, and he wants to give back. That's his impact. We have kids. Miss Tammy, is she here? She's not here. Oh, you sure? Can I share that story? No, she may not invite me back, but this is my moment anyway. So one of our departments, we give our good departments, we give $125, and they can do whatever they want to with it. Some people go out and they paint walls and streets and things of that nature. They buy trash bags. They pick up. They go get a bunch of canned goods. They just do whatever. We had one team that a couple of the kids' parents had breast cancer. And so they took their money and bought $125 worth of flyers to pass out. Talked to a local bowling alley, and they rented out the bowling alley, and they raised money for breast cancers. They call it Bowling for Boobies. Our HR didn't know about it, but when they found out, they were excited about raising $5,000, but they were really nervous about the wording. But still to this day, it's one of our bigger events now. It's grown over the last 3 or 4 years, and they raised tons of money for it. And so we allow our people to bring their soul to work. They bring their why to work, and it's connected to what they do. It's not just about keeping people's mobile devices connected so they can talk to their friends and their family, but it's about bringing your soul to work. What happens when you're able to bring your soul to work and just be you? Be George. Who you are, where you are, why you are, what you are. Just unapologetically you. Leading you. These stats really blew my mind, and I like to have fun with this on the next slide. If you want to take a picture of this to be able to look at what we're going to break down. But this is some recent data. I'm getting into a data nerd because of my good friend. And I got like 12 minutes, so I'm going to go through this really quickly. 37% of employees clearly know their company purpose. Just 37%. 27% of employees believe in their company values. They believe in them. Why do most people not believe in them? Because we as leaders probably don't live them every day. At Round Room, which is the holding company for Verizon, TCC, Wireless Zone, Culture of Good, Stash, Redux, something else, we call them promises. We got rid of core values, and we have 5 promises. I promise to care for you and me, right? I promise to drive the business. I promise to be authentic, right? We have these promises that we live. It determines who we hire, why we hire, what we hire, how we coach up, coach over, or coach out. It's all about our 5 promises. And what's so great is that we're so vulnerable that if you saw Scott Moorhead, the CEO, walking down and he doesn't show that he's caring, he has an open door policy to say, hey, Scott, I don't know if you saw the way you acted, but I didn't feel like you showed George that you really cared about him. That was a cool shirt, by the way. But we want to live those 5 promises. If you want to have your core values mean something, you got to live them. It's got to be about what you do, how you act, how you walk, how you talk all the time. 23% believe that they can apply those values to their everyday work. 15% say they feel like they have been empowered to work towards their goal. Just 15% feels like they've been empowered to work towards their company purpose. 20% of the employees fully trust the company they work for. Now, how many soccer moms or dads do we have in the house? Any soccer parents? You're going to love this right here because I'm going to turn this whole data into soccer. So on the soccer field, you got 11 kids, right? Now, I'll explain which one of these is my kid. If you're coaching a soccer team, 4 players, based on the data that I just showed you, only 4 of the 11 players know which way they're going towards. So I don't know which one of your kids is this. 3 of the 11 actually care, just 3. 3 of them really care about winning. The other 8 are just like, look at the grass. That's my kid, like the dirt is the same, buddy. Get out of the dirt, get out of the dirt. But it's so weird. 2 know which position they are supposed to play. Hopefully one of those is the goalie. 2 believe that their efforts on the field will actually make a difference. It's 2. What I do will actually make a difference. 8 of the 11 would just as likely be rooting for the other team. This team stinks. In our world, we will say, I'm leaving this company and going to another company because they do it better. Can I tell y'all a secret? Everybody lean forward. It's a secret because I don't want nobody else to know. The grass is not greener on the other side. The grass just happens to be greener where you water it and where you take care of it. My favorite employer are frustrated employees. How many of you ever been frustrated? 99% of you align. I appreciate everybody else telling the truth. We've all been frustrated. And the reason why I love frustrated employees, when we had our 18 retail stores, we had over 150 employees, and and none of them knew that I was the owner. I refused to have that title. I was a sales rep. I was a technician. I couldn't fix phones that long, so I got out of that position really quick. I created a store manager position. I became a district manager. I became an area manager. And then I don't even know what the next title was, but I wanted to be a part of the team. I wanted to be in there, boots on the ground, frontline worker. And I always loved talking to the frustrated people. The happy people confuse me. I ain't like them too much. You want something. You want a raise? I used to give raises away all the time. As a matter of fact, Cedric, you get a raise today. We're gonna put a 0 in the front of your check. A 0 on the front of your check. That's your raise. Oh, but I always love talking to the frustrated people because frustration is a sign that I really love. In 2008, when the stock market crashed, you know what? I had some friends that was frustrated. You know what I was doing? Minding my business, laughing, having a good time. You know why? I wasn't invested. Frustration is a sign of investment. We get frustrated when we're invested into something. We get frustrated when we care about something. And I love those type of employees because it shows that they care. Now, it's my responsibility to figure out why they're frustrated and how we can get this settled. Because I don't want them to think that they can just go ahead and root for the other team. Because it doesn't change. Because once you leave my house, you don't come back in. 64% of those people who get rehired at their job leave within 17 months. Leftovers ain't good. Unless it's chili. Or Donato's pizza. So what is my challenge today for you is this. It's very simple. A leader is someone who leads everyone. My desire is to see companies and organizations create a leadership culture because leadership culture is where everyone leads. Everyone leads. It's not just about me leading the group. Everyone leads. We develop. Why is it important? And it's very, very simple. I'm going to do this real quick. I just want to share this. And Miss Tammy, I'll give you have this. You can send it to everybody. When managers are connected to their employees, data shows us the impact and the difference that it has. On the workplace culture, 68% that has managers that fully support them says that they have a workplace culture that helps them be productive and satisfied at work. Give them that sense of connection, give them that sense of belonging. There's power in leadership. Everybody say there's power in leadership. When it comes to diversity and equality, this is even more impactful. 4 times more likely to say that they don't understand job responsibilities and performance expectations when leadership is not involved. Very simple. 2 times more likely to say they feel that their workplace culture is a dysfunctional mess. That was my word. Dysfunctional mess was one of the questions. And I just like to be honest. Are we a functional or dysfunctional mess? Can't be one or the other. You got to be one or the other. But it's important. Leadership impacts those things so much. So what I do is this, and I want to encourage you, take this quarterly at minimum. This is a quarterly checkup. My belief is this: if you don't check in with your employees will check out. And so we just launched what's called RSVP. Every quarter we RSVP. We go over roles, we go over strengths, we go over values, and we go over purpose. Now, as a leader, this is not me saying, hey, this is your role and you need to do it. This is me saying, Brittany, do you understand your role? Has your role changed? Has there been something? Because Brittany, I know you like to help everybody else, and all of a sudden you be adding more stuff to your job. And I'm going to judge you based on that on your performance review, because now you done major your business, Caitlin's business, and now y'all got to be in business together. So what's your role? Has something changed about your task and responsibilities? I want to know that as her leader. Now I want to ask, say, hey, Caitlin, are you using your strengths? A lot of us don't want to use our strengths because we show how much gifted we are, and they want us to do more, but they ain't talking about more. Ain't that right, Cedric? Yeah. But how can we use your strengths? Because if they're not connected and they're just doing what they know they're supposed to do, but they're more talented, we want our people to use their gifts. Don't sit behind a keyboard just because you apply for that job and that's not really where you're supposed to be. I want you on the team, but I want you in the right position. So you don't try to think that you're one of the 8 out of the 11 that thinks that the grass is green on the other side, because you're not happy doing what you love. And why? What's your values? Is your values personally? Top 5 question now. When interviews are happening, employees are now interviewing the HR, saying, hey, I want to know what the company's values are because I want to know that they align with my personal values. How does your beliefs align with ours? And then purpose. Are you connected? Every quarter, minimum. Now me and my leader and my partners, we do this every other week. We just ask ourselves, because we connect. We want to ask ourselves, we're checking in with each other to make sure you do that. A reminder, earlier, I gave y'all unlimited resources. Bad news is the resources are gone. And this is what I want you to think about. Now that the resource is gone, Elon Musk, can't trust him. His mood just switched. He took all the resources from us. Think about the thing that you all at your table say, hey, this is what we collectively want to do. With limited resources, Miss Lauren, what could you do today? What limited resources that you have, the resources that you currently have, how can you do the good that you had on your mind? It's still possible. It'll work if you work it. It'll work if you work it. When your passion collides with your greatest contribution to make the world a better place, and you just show up and be there, it makes a huge difference. This picture is a basketball that my father has speaking and introducing me after I had my heart issue, 10 years ago today. I was given news that I was having a Wellens wave, which is the last sign of a massive heart attack. Wow, it's November 1st, right? Yeah. 2013, in January, my grandfather was murdered by a 15-year-old in Florida. In June, Father's Day weekend, my wife's brother was killed in a car accident. In August, my father, I don't use the word in-law because I put too much money and I made too much investment with family. So my father, by marriage, he calls it a pig heart, but he had to get a pacemaker and his heart was having issues. Halloween week, I was speaking at my church on a Thursday night. My mom called me and said she was struggling breathing. So I took her to the hospital and she was having congestive heart failure. Be careful what you say and speak into the existence because it might come true. I looked my mom in the eye and I said, I might as well move into this place because between you and Rex, I've been here so much. That Sunday while I was speaking at my church, my left arm goes numb. Within 2 minutes of me speaking, everybody thought it was the greatest sermon on earth because it was done within 5 minutes. We had a huge outreach, so I played it off real nice because I didn't want anybody to have anything. I didn't know what was going on myself. I was young and in shape and active, but stress, if you don't deal with it and take care of yourself, It'll take care of you. And my dad kept the last basketball that I used in the sporting event. Remember the 2 words that he said to me, I'm here. My sister in 2016 that you see in the middle, in 2015, was diagnosed with a rare stomach cancer. I gave her 3 months to live. She ended up living for a year and a half. And on December 2016, Christmas morning, at 8:31, I got a call that she had passed away. And I know you're trying to figure out again, what is that weird-looking woman and chocolate drop next to that good-looking guy, George? No, I wasn't thinking that. But that's Dexter, my sister's 2-year-old son at the time, that lost his mom on Christmas morning. And I thought to myself how crazy it is in this world that at 8 years old, I'll meet a man in my life that became my father and my guardian, that showed me how to shave. I still don't shave. I go to the barbershop still because I don't know how to do that stuff. But in 2016, when I went to the house to get my nephew and my mother, I was able to look this kid in the eye. And just like I did yesterday before I left the house, give him a hug, a kiss. We do our little hand clap thing. He tells me what I have to bring him home since I'm leaving. Yeah, he has shoes too. 57, 58. But I get to look him in the eye every morning and let him know I'm here. When you were 2, I wanted you to know I was here. And that's what we as people need, is for somebody to show up at our work, for you to show up, your employees, your city, just needs to know that you beautiful people in this room are here. And help other people champion their purpose. I want to thank y'all this morning for allowing me to be here with you. And I want to encourage you. You can connect with me through the QR code. I guess that's the cool stuff to do. But I want to challenge you this morning. I'm going to take a couple of questions. Is that cool? We got just a couple of questions, Miss Tammy? I'll take any questions on leadership. I'll take any questions on culture, workplace culture. I'll take any questions that deals with employees, engagement, well-being, mental health. Those are things I'm good at. I'll take any questions about Ohio State and shoes. If there's any there today. Does anybody have any questions? No? Yes, ma'am.
What advice do you have for us who are trying to champion for other people in our organizations and respective areas?
What advice do I have for you and these people to champion other people? Number 1 rule, champion yourself. I'd be irresponsible to say otherwise. Number 1 rule is champion you. Before I champion anybody, I do executive leadership coaching. Before I coach anybody, I gotta practice what I preach. It's just who I am and what I do. After you champion yourself, I think it's important to know people before you can show people. You gotta know them. Because everybody's different. I can say I love you to everybody in this room, and I do. I love people, I just do. But that word means something different to everybody. To me, when I grew up, I didn't know what real love was. My father had to show me what it was. What I thought it was different. So you gotta understand where people are and get to know people, because we're all different. And at the end of the day, like I said earlier, everybody wants to be connected. And so to be able to champion somebody else, help them know them, and then you show up and be consistent. For me, consistency was important. The biggest leaders, the biggest heroes in my life were consistent. They showed up. No matter if it was storming or if it was sunshine, they showed up. And so I'll continue to say just show up, and then help them understand those 4 questions that I asked you in self-leadership. Who are you? Help them discover their identity, because it's important. Because if they don't discover their identity, they're going to want to look like you and be you. And in the world of these days, the world don't need another George, because then the shoe competition gets really extreme. Any other questions? No? Who am I turning it over to? You? Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it.